Welcome to the Thrive TV show with Lauren Parsons, helping you boost your health, energy, and productivity.
Hi there and welcome to the Thrive TV show. I'm Lauren Parsons and I'm your host today, and today we are joined by Holmes from Supercharged Food. So welcome, Lee.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
It's so lovely to connect with you all the way from Sydney. So today we're talking about how to supercharge your gut. So we're talking about the 4 phases of gut health, key gut connections, and foods that enhance the gut. Very exciting. It's almost like a tongue twister. So before we get into all of that, just to get to know you a little more, Lee, for our listeners as well, we're going to go through our quick fire round. So you ready for that?
I'm ready.
Okay. All right. So tell me, are you introverted or extroverted?
Introverted.
Oh, interesting. Are you leggings or jeans?
Leggings.
Leggings, nice. City or countryside?
Countryside.
Countryside, nice. Meat or fish?
Fish.
Visit Rome or Paris?
Rome, I think.
Rome, okay, fabulous. Batman or Superman?
Batman.
Okay. Would you rather be a famous musician or famous actor?
Actor.
Okay. Beach or mountain?
Beach.
Beach, nice. And lastly, a foodie one for you. Boiled, fried or poached eggs?
Poached.
Poached, nice. I'm the same, yes. Beautiful. So tell you a bit more about Lee. Lee Holmes is a nutritionist, yoga and meditation teacher, a whole foods chef, and the author of the best-selling Supercharged Food series, which includes, among other titles, Eat Your Way to Good Health, Eat Yourself Beautiful, Supercharged Food for Kids, Eat Right for Your Shape, Heal Your Gut, Supercharge Your Gut, and her latest bestseller, Supercharge Your Life. So we're so thrilled to have Lee with us. She also runs online health programs and has a whole range of products that focus on gut health. So you can check out her bio down below. Head over to thrivetvshow.com for more info. But it's so wonderful to have you with us, Lee. Tell me, to start off, how is it that you got started doing what it is that you do now?
Well, the main thing that I do, I have written about 9 books, but the main thing that I kind of do day to day is blogging, which I absolutely love. And I started my blog about 10 years ago. I was working at the ABC in Sydney, and I was in the kids' music department and working with the Wiggles, in pajamas, doing all the kids' albums and things like that, and TV stuff. And I was a single mum at the time. I had a little girl. And I woke up one day and I couldn't get out of bed. I was really tired. I felt like I had chronic fatigue. I wasn't really sure what was wrong with me. I was covered in hives, really super itchy. My hair was falling out in clumps. So I went to the doctors. I went through what I found to be in Sydney quite a complex medical system, because I was just going from different doctor to doctor, lots of scans, lots of needles, lots of tests. And it took about 6 months for me to finally be diagnosed. And I was put on a concoction of different drugs. So immunosuppressants, anti-inflammatories, antibiotics, you name it. So many different drugs, about 20 pills every day. And at the time, I was diagnosed with a non-specific autoimmune disease and something called fibromyalgia, which is where your muscles ache, you feel really achy, you wake up in the morning, you feel like a 90-year-old woman, you're really stiff and achy. And so I was put on all of this medication, and I spoke to my doctors and said the medication had a lot of side effects. And I spoke to my doctors and said, I'm getting a lot of these side effects. Do you think maybe if I change what I'm eating or change my diet a bit, then maybe the hives would really clear up and I wouldn't be so sort of tired and fatigued? And they said, no. Autoimmune has got nothing to do with diet whatsoever. So just keep on eating hospital food, which was pretty bad at the time. It was like stale white bread, plastic cheese, plastic ham, all those desserts with every single number in them. It wasn't a really nutritious kind of diet. But I did notice that when I ate certain things, I really got flared up. So when I was working at ABC, before I was in hospital, in and out for those 6 months, I was doing a lot of processed foods. So I was doing like lean cuisine, putting them in the microwave. And I realized that they had a lot of these additives in them, like MSG and a lot of the preservatives and additives that I felt like my body was really personally reacting to. I would get really itchy and the hives would break out afterwards. I would get tummy ache. And so I did actually speak to my doctors and say, can I please just, take those out of my diet and try and get a bit fresher food and just things that I think that would really help take the inflammation down. So they said, yep, you sure, you can definitely do that. Knock yourself out. It's not going to make any difference at all. So it was then that I started my blog about 10 years ago, and I started just to document some of the recipes that I was making at home in my kitchen. And they're really simple recipes. There's lots of gut healing recipes. I knew deep down that it had something to do with my gut. I've actually now, after like 10 years, finally last year been diagnosed with Crohn's. It took that long to diagnose me with Crohn's disease, but
Wow.
I kind of knew back then that I knew it was a tummy thing. Like I just had that, intrinsic kind of feeling that it was something to do with my gut, because it was always after I ate that I felt really tired and didn't feel good. So started this little blog, put up a Facebook page, put up, I think there was only Facebook back then. It had just started. And I started sharing all my recipes, and it was amazing. People from all over the world connected with me and said that exact same thing happened to me. I was diagnosed with autoimmune. I was put on anti-inflammatories. I also blew up like the Michelin Man. I was like a big fat Michelin Man with a big round head from all of the steroids. I was on high dose steroids as well. And we were connecting and building this really beautiful community of very like-minded people. And so from there I started, really, really exploring some of the ingredients, which I think we're going to talk about today, that were really great for the inflammation and things like that I was experiencing. And from there I wrote my very first book called Supercharged Food, Eat Your Way to Good Health. And it was really just a journey, documenting a journey of the way that I had changed my diet and what I was eating to really improve my condition. And it was so good because eventually I was able to step down off a lot of those medications. At the moment, I'm on no medications at all. Haven't been on medication for 7 years. And really manage it with diet. So yeah, that's kind of how I started and got really into wellness, and I'm really enjoying it. And I'm still doing blogging. I'm still doing my blog, superchargedfood.com. So yeah, I'm loving it.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations. Being able to be medication free and having figured it out, I can imagine over a long time, is quite an achievement. So thank you for sharing it with so many people. So now you talk about in your book the 4 phases of gut health. So can you unpack that for us so we can understand what you mean there?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was really sick, I wanted to go back to basics. So I just knew that was something to do with my gut. So I wanted to really think about what I could eat to really settle my gut down. And so I started on this 4-week kind of program, which is now an online program on my website. And it was where I took out all of the things that were irritating me. So for me, it was a lot of the additives and chemicals and MSG. So that was kind of like the very first stage. And the first stage was I was eating more soups and smoothies. I found that things that were blended and cooked were really much easier to digest for me. And so 4 weeks of I took out raw food, because raw was really aggravating for me. Anyone with a sensitive gut or Crohn's or irritation in the gut will know that anything like nuts, anything raw cabbage, those kinds of things can make you bloated and be very hard to digest. So I went on a very simple diet of cooked foods, lots of bone broths, lots of very gentle healing foods. And I did that for 4 weeks in phase 1 to allow my gut and a lot of the doctors now look at inflammation in the gut as being one of the leading causes of different diseases. And so I really, at the time, I didn't know much about this research. It hadn't come out by then, but I really wanted to use that and try and use ingredients that would really get that inflammation down. So I started to do certain ingredients, like turmeric was one. I was adding more turmeric instead of a lot of the anti-inflammatories. And now my gastro, who is not holistic, he's a normal gastro, he actually prescribes turmeric to his patients now, because all the research is there now. So it's finally caught up, which is so good. I was adding more turmeric. I was doing more things like garlic. So that was really good to kind of, instead of the antibiotics that I was taking as well. So I was just incorporating things like that and doing it in a really kind of gentle way. So that was phase 1. Then phase 2, after really kind of going on that gentle diet, I wanted to look at detoxing my body from a lot of those medications that I had been taking. So I went to India and I studied actually Ayurvedic medicine and Ayurvedic practices, which is the ancient healing system of India. And I learned about all of these, some of them wild and wacky ways to detox the body. One of them was oil pulling. So I started where you take a tablespoon of oil, whether it's sesame, in India they use sesame oil or coconut oil. You swirl it and swish it around in your mouth, and then you spit it out, because your mouth is kind of one of the first points of entry of digestion, and you hold a lot of bacteria there. So I did things like that. I did tongue scraping, which is supposed to be really good as well. I did dry body brushing. So I learned all of these kind of detox methods. So I still stayed on that diet, but I was adding more things into my diet at that stage as well. So more kind of a variety. So I was more balanced than just doing soups and smoothies and things like that. So I was still on the diet to really, really get my health back. But I was doing the detoxing practices as well for another 4 weeks. And then the third stage was, and I think doing it in this order really, really helped me. So I rested the gut, then I cleansed the gut. And the third stage was really all about repopulating the gut and getting the gut is like an ecosystem, if you like, and it's got all these different like an Amazonian rainforest. There's the trees and the birds and the butterflies and the soil, so you've got to build up every area of that. So what I was doing was doing more probiotic rich foods. So I was growing all the trees and things like that, but then I was fertilizing and feeding that with prebiotic rich foods. So some of the probiotic rich foods that I was doing were things like kefir, a bit of sauerkraut as well. Yogurt was a really good one as well. So I was trying to explore more of those kinds of foods and add those to my diet, as well as prebiotic rich foods. Prebiotics are just food for good bacteria. So I wanted to get that balance in the gut back to normal again. I realized that a lot of my problems started when I was about 17 or 18, and I was always getting cystitis. Like I was getting cystitis, one attack after another. And I would go to the doctor and I would go on antibiotics. And I had like 6 or 7 courses of antibiotics. And I feel like that was the thing that kind of wiped out the good bacteria in the gut, upset the balance. And that is very common for a lot of people with IBD or digestive issues, that balance is upset in the gut of good and bad bacteria. So the prebiotic rich foods that I was adding in were things like asparagus, peas as well, onions, there's a whole lot of them actually. Chocolate's actually a prebiotic. I wasn't eating too much. It's a prebiotic, natural prebiotic. Onions and leeks and those kinds of foods as well. Sweet potato is a good one as well. So I was adding more of those on. So that was sort of the repopulation stage. And then the fourth stage of healing the gut was really to look at my lifestyle. And as you would know, as a holistic practitioner, that stress can be a really, really major impactor on health, and especially with things like autoimmune problems. They can exacerbate when you're in stressful situations. So I became a yoga teacher and meditator, and so I started to try and integrate more of the meditation and yoga practices into my own life as well, and looked at the way because stress can really strip the body of good bacteria. It can really upset the balance in your gut. So holistically, I read that they're the kind of 4 stages of healing the gut, and in that order. So resting the gut, cleansing the gut, repopulating, and then looking at stress. I found that was a really good way to start to feel a lot better.
Absolutely. It's amazing hearing the difference that it made for you. And I guess we're also individual, aren't we? So for people that are listening in, if that all sounds quite overwhelming, we have a lot of people that are obviously busy in our day-to-day lives, parenting, going to work, running our businesses, all those various things. What are the sort of things you would say would be some good first steps for people if they're perhaps having discomfort or think that maybe they've got some gut issues? Are there some baby steps or some simple things that you'd recommend, or certain things to include in your diet or to exclude or avoid? What would you say?
I would say just start really simply. In my book, Supercharge Your Gut, it's a 2-day program. So basically 2 days a week, all you do is you do not eat raw food. 2 days a week. You just eat anything cooked, blended or smoothie, 2 days a week, anything cooked. And that will start to settle the gut down, so it's not working so hard, and your gut and immune system will give it the chance to kind of rest. The other thing I recommend is starting the day, maybe in the morning, having a smoothie with, having a really nice, good quality smoothie with maybe some protein powder or collagen powder, anything to really heal and seal that lining of the gut. the gut needs things like protein and collagen, and there are other ingredients too that you can use, which I can talk about as well in a minute, that really seal the lining of the gut. So having a smoothie, starting the day off with a smoothie is a good thing as well. Not eating too late at night as well, if possible. So having dinner around 6 is good, 6 or 7, but not eating before you go to bed, because that's you're kind of digesting at night, your body's just working harder. So having a longer break between dinner and breakfast is good to really give your gut immune system and your gut a rest from digesting. So there are a couple of things that someone could implement quite easily.
And I know we were talking before about key gut connections, something that you share about as well in your blog. So tell us more about the key gut connections.
Yeah, so the gut is really the epicenter to health. It's connected to so many other areas of your body. So your brain, your immune system, even your thyroid, your sleep as well. Sleep is a big one. The brain is really interesting, that connection, because you have this, I guess it's like an information superhighway, a vagus nerve that runs from your brain all the way to your gut. And for every one message that your brain sends to your gut actually sends 10 back up in reverse. So what's really in charge of your mood and your thoughts and your feelings is the state of health of that balance of your gut as well. And so your gut health and the mixture of bacteria, good or bad bacteria in the gut, can actually affect your mood. It can affect the way that you, serotonin is, 90% of serotonin is actually manufactured in your gut. So that obviously is your happy hormone. So that will affect your mood. So whatever is going on in your gut interrelates to what is going on in your mood. Interestingly, in America right now, doctors are looking at psychobiotics, which are, instead of a lot of the sort of mental health care prescriptive drugs, they're looking at probiotics for the gut to really help things with anxiety, things like anxiety and depression, which I think is a really, really interesting area. So I think the gut-brain connection is a very, very interesting area, and there's new research coming out all the time about those connections.
Yeah, it's so interesting, isn't it? And we often know intuitively that, it's that gut feeling, or if we feel anxious or stressed, we know that we feel it in our gut. And it's interesting linking into the two-way process that occurs there. Yeah, really interesting. And so you said as well that the gut has huge implications in terms of holistic health and well-being. Can you share any stories or examples of perhaps clients? I'm sure you get feedback from people and connect with people on your blogs. Can you just share the impact that it has when people do help to heal their gut?
Yeah, so one of the main things that I really wanted to do when I first started, and still really want to do now, is connect with people and give them, like you say, working parents and busy people, very simplified ways to restore their gut health. And my recipes on the blog, they're so simple. They're literally so easy to make with everyday ingredients that you can buy from your local supermarket. And I've been doing talks around the country as well, but my main thing is really about trying to help people do it in a simple way. So some of the ways that they've been impacted are that the recipes are so simple that they're able to implement them easily. So that's one of the ways they've been impacted. And secondly, I do these talks around the country, and I've had people come up to me, lots of people come up to me. There was one lady actually in particular, and she was in a wheelchair and she had really bad arthritis, and she was saying that the recipes from my Eat Yourself Beautiful book, which is all based on anti-inflammatory recipes, got her out of her wheelchair, and she actually got up and walked towards me. I could not believe it. It was such a beautiful moment. And then I also get lovely emails from people, and lots of, if you go to my testimonial section, there's thousands of people saying that they've done my gut program and that they've lost weight, they feel better in their self-esteem as well. Their skin, like people with rosacea and eczema and skin issues, it's really helped their skin. So many different areas. Mental health as well. I get students, university students contacting me. So it's really, it's really lovely. The gut really is the epicenter, and it can impact all those different areas. And I feel like I love what I do. Like I really do love what I do. And if I can help anyone, then majorly happy.
I think we have so much in common in terms of that, and it is so interesting, like that, as you know, me as well, it's that focus on not just improving people's physical health but mental health. And I love that, the whole idea of Supercharge Your Life, because that's what we want to do. As I mentioned earlier, the reason that I got into helping people thrive was from actually being that shy, unsporty kid who was so scared of the gym, but I've actually found lots of fun and invigorating ways to move, and like you, I'm all about helping busy people make it really simple, because when I brought out my book Real Food Less Fuss, the whole idea was trying to make it less fuss for people, because people are busy and it can feel overwhelming if you sometimes look at some recommendations out there and just even how to source the ingredients, people don't know where to start. But so people can head to your blog and they can get simple recipes for how to make a great bone broth, how to make a great smoothie, for example. And perhaps if you're listening in and this all sounds really new to you, maybe even just start with one thing, one thing a day or one thing a week, and then take those steps and move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with that. I love what you do.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So if people wanted to connect with you, the best place to start is the blog. And so what's the address again? We'll have it down below, but just let us know again.
Superchargedfood.com. And if anyone's interested in, I do have a range of products which I sell on my other website called superchargeyourgut.com. So if you're interested in gut health specifically, superchargeyourgut.com is the place to go. We've got the Love Your Gut capsules. I've just got them here, and they actually clean the gut. So what they do is we have between 2 and 4 kilos of waste just sitting in our gut. So it's a natural food, and you just take it. It's one ingredient, diatomaceous earth, and it sweeps through your tummy and collects all of that bad bacteria, separates the good and the bad, collects the bad, and gently, it's not a laxative, but it gently sweeps it out of your body. So there's that, and then there's the as well, so they can connect on the Supercharge if they're looking for something, because some people who are super busy sometimes don't have time, and that's just another option for them if they don't want to do the recipes or what have you. That's a simple way to look after their guts as well. So there's that, and then Facebook and Instagram. On Instagram I'm Lee Supercharged, and then on Facebook I'm Supercharged Food.
Okay, fabulous. Yeah, great to be able to connect with people, isn't it? And like you say, it's always wonderful hearing people's feedback and getting people, trying things out, sending in photos or sending in feedback. It's amazing. Wonderful. So just to wrap up, I know this feels really short and we're just dipping into, just touching the surface, but I think what you've shared so far has just highlighted so much, sharing your story. So I thank you for that. And for people that are interested, they can go and check you out if they want to find out more. But coming back to if people are just listening in, and if there was one final piece of advice that you could give them right now, what would you say, Lee?
For gut health, I would say try and do not eat on the run. Try and sit down and really try and enjoy your food. Do a little bit of mindful eating if you can. And sit down and just, while you're eating, really enjoy what you're eating, whatever it is, and just so that you can digest it properly. And it'll really help with any bloating or issues with gas or any of those digestive issues that a lot of us have. So slowing down, sitting down, eating a bit more mindfully, taking that time, even if it's 10 minutes, to sit down and eat would make a world of difference to your gut health.
Yeah, and I can agree to that and actually testify to that, because I can recall years ago when I was having lots of stomach problems and similar to you in some ways, having lots of testing and wondering what it was and is it this and is it that. And essentially when we got to the bottom of it, there wasn't anything medical going on. I was just living a really rushed, stressed lifestyle, because I was lecturing at the New Zealand College of Fitness, and I did 3-hour lectures and I had a 1-hour break in between. And in that time I would train a personal training client for 45 minutes. So in like the 10 minutes that I had, I would be standing, talking to students, rushing down my lunch, getting changed, doing a personal training session, and then rushing to get into my next lecture. And I look back at it now, and that just seems crazy to me. And I really think, Lauren, where was your integrity to be trying to teach people around health and nutrition and well-being, and to have had that lifestyle? But it took me a while to look from the outside in to realize that my own life was rushing, that I was not eating mindfully. And and it was a real life changer once I realized the importance of sitting and learning to eat mindfully. And it is a skill, and it is amazingly life enhancing when you can master that. It's one of my the 2 key things I share in nutrition is just eat real food and eat mindfully. And those 5 little words, I think, sum up so much.
I totally agree with you with that.
Yeah. So in our busy, stressed, rushed lives, this is more important than ever. And I think that's why we're seeing more and more people with gut challenges. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for shining some light on this topic. It's not always the sexiest or most amazing topic to start a conversation around. Let's talk about your gut health, but it is so essential to our well-being. So thank you so much, Lee.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wonderful. So that's been another episode of the Thrive TV show. Go out and thrive.
Thank you for listening to the Thrive TV show with Lauren Parsons. Visit thrivetvshow.com to access the show notes and discover our fantastic bonus content. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next inspiring episode.